welcome everyone. We're so happy to have you here on this Friday at our virtual panel and happy hour designed for social good. My name is Francesca. I'm a product designer here at Classy, and we are partnering with San Diego Design Week to bring you this panel this evening, and we couldn't be more excited to share these amazing designers with you. I hope everyone brought their favorite beverage for happy hour and they're ready to learn a ton and get really excited about ways they can change the world and make it better with the power of design. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in a few technical housekeeping details. One thing that we recommend, we kept this a fairly informal session. We really wanted to make it open and have everyone present, which is why we didn't go with the webinar format. So what we recommend is if you stay on mute and if you turn off your video for now and then maybe turn it on again later for the Q&A, that would be wonderful. And you can go ahead and turn on speaker view, and then you can actually just see each presenter as they share their story with you. Other than that, I want to go ahead and say thank you to San Diego Design Week to including us in this actual event. It's really incredible to see how quickly we had to change everything from in-person to virtual. I really have been amazed, and we're really, really lucky to be a part of this, so thank you. A huge thank you to our panelists, who you'll all get to meet in 2 seconds as soon as I stop talking. They're really, really wonderful humans and deeply inspiring, so I'm so happy to share them with you this evening. And finally, thank you to all of you who showed up on this Friday to come and learn a bit about designing for nonprofits with us. So thank you to each and every one of you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and give a little background. So we at Classy design software for nonprofits. So when we were approached by San Diego Design Week, we were really trying to understand what story we wanted to highlight with our time here. And for us, the heart and soul of everything we do is the nonprofits that we serve. Their causes are our lifeblood. And so we really wanted to take this time to highlight the designers who are keeping those nonprofits on message, on brand, compelling and engaging for all of their supporters and potential supporters out there who also want to change the world. One thing that we were considering when thinking about the audience for San Diego Design Week is that a lot of, we're hoping the demographic here are early and emerging designers who have maybe just left school in the midst of a pandemic. So bless you for taking on this adventure in this new world. We're all here to support you. But traditionally, when a designer comes out of school or when you're transitioning into the field of design, there are 2 paths. You either get to be a designer in-house, working that corporate dreamy grind, or you go and you work at an agency. And those are really the 2 options that you feel you have available, and that normally from mentors and from people in the field you'll hear about. And what we really wanted to surface today for all of you is that there is a 3rd path where you can actually go and use your amazing design powers for good at nonprofits. Especially now with everything going on in the world with this amount of unrest and the amount of questions that are around us, it's really incredible to understand the power of connecting with your local communities and local nonprofits and organizations and putting in the time and effort to help them get their message out. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our amazing panelists. Marina, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Oh, hi, everybody. My name is Marina Mascaquina. I live in Tucson, Arizona, and I am a brand and design manager at greatergood.org. Greatergood.org is a nonprofit that probably has the broadest mission out there. We protect people, pets, and the planet. And we do that through a series of signature programs that we run, and also by funding projects from our partners around the world. So we do a little bit of everything. We run programs where we renovate shelters, we provide food for shelters around the country, programs where we teach cats how to high five to help them come out of their shells and get adopted. We train girls in developing countries, new technologies and skills, and help them complete secondary school. We go on expeditions to biodiversity hotspots and catalog and protect endangered species. And we also respond in times of disaster with aid and supplies. So that kind of ties all 3 together, protecting people, pets, and the planet. And I could go on because we do a lot of stuff, but I'll stop there.
I love it. Just 1 or 2 things, you know, just
a little
1.
bit.
Awesome. Thank you. Cool. Jose Mar, do you want to take it away?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jose Mar Gonzalez, and I am a transporter artist. community organizer, designer, and also creative director of the Azure Project. The Azure Project is a 501c3 nonprofit based in City Heights, the heart of City Heights. It's been around for about 20 years, and we do a lot of work around education, a lot of education in the arts and the documentary arts specifically, like photo, video, and now we've gotten a little bit more into performance and done a lot of different types of art and different methodologies for education. We started, all of our work was primarily, used to be with refugee youth and refugee communities, which we still work with, but now we've dived into the recent years. We've done a lot of work with the juvenile court community schools, and we do a lot of work with transported communities as well. Transported being people who cross the border regularly from Tijuana to San Diego or the parts of Mexico into the States.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you. All right, Irvish, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Arish and I'm a UX engineer, lead UX engineer at JDC.org. I have been working with JDC for over 4 years now. We based in New York City. We are not only in New York City, we are all around the world. We are in 7 different countries. We are global. JDC is known as Jewish 911, and that we played a role in every milestone events modern Jewish history. We deliver emergency aids to starving out Jews in Palestine during World War I, rescuing hundreds of thousands of Jews in Europe during the Holocaust. Today, we deliver life-saving aids, social programs to vulnerable Jews around the world, from South Africa to Europe to Asia. For over 100 years, JDC has been a lifeline for all the vulnerable people all around the world in 70 countries. We bring air supplies and supports in those in needs. Short and simple.
Awesome. Perfect.
We are in like so many different sectors, but I'd like to just make it short and simple over here.
Totally. We'll have the whole panel to get into it, Irvish. Don't worry. Awesome. Cool. And then to round us all out, we have Fran. Fran, do you want me to call you Fran or Francis?
Fran's fine.
Beautiful.
Hi, I'm Fran Carrillo. I a little unique in my path. I am actually a controller and business manager for a architecture firm here in San Diego, MW Steel Group. But I've been in the nonprofits for about 25 years, where I've managed and designed for nonprofits in the arts, in education. And today I volunteer at 3 different organizations doing marketing and design for them. And the 2 main ones in San Diego are the Women's March and the Women League of Voters. And both of those are political organizations led by women and are, of course, similar goals. And right now our focus, of course, is the election. So hopefully you're all voters and registered. So that's where I am today.
Awesome. Thank you, Fran. Cool. And so let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room, because I feel like that's really a good place to start. Obviously, COVID has impacted everyone. It's cross-industry. It doesn't discriminate at all. So I would love to understand a little bit about how COVID has impacted each of your organizations, to kind of give our audience a sense of how that is working or not working out for you. Fran, do you want to go ahead and start?
Sure. It's been really interesting. I think with an organization like the League, is 100 years old. We've always met in person. So COVID has really made us had to learn to pivot, be nimble, and move on our feet. We've had to learn new technologies, reach out to our members and voters in a whole new platform. But what's been interesting is I think it's allowed us to also reach more people. So where in the past we've done in-person events and things, we're now reaching more people, but it also means that we have to find ways in our design work to really, make that message, get that message out in a whole new way. So it's been good. It's really making us be nimble.
Awesome. That's a really good positive take. I love it. Marina, I know that you're obviously, as Greater Good, built for disaster and responses like this. How has that worked out for Greater Good? How have you kind of taken this in stride?
Yeah, greatergood.org does a lot for disaster response. So we have been responding this whole time. We've been sending supplies and food to people and pets, and raising funds for communities, food banks, wild animal sanctuaries. So we have taken it in stride. But the nature of the coronavirus has also halted some of our programs that require volunteers. So we kind of had to stop and take stock of where we can make ourselves most useful. And we took that energy into spinning up some new programs. So instead of running programs where we used to work directly in shelters, we pivoted and shifted those resources. And instead, we focused on getting pets out of shelters that were being shut down due to COVID and getting them into foster homes where people were now stuck at home all day. So like Fran said, it's so important to be nimble right now. And that is really the biggest takeaway from this whole experience for, I think, our whole organization. It's just important to focus on where you can do the most good with limited resources.
Definitely. Ugh, I'm definitely one of the people who immediately got foster puppies the
Good.
moment that COVID hit. So I'm one of those people. My partner wasn't that excited, but I was. Cool. And Irvish, what about you? You're obviously a decentralized organization. You're working all over the world all the time. So how have you responded at the JDC to COVID?
That's a really great point. So for us, we mostly respond to any disasters outside of the United States. Like we are, like as you know, we are the global. So especially for coronavirus in for forward Soviet Union, we help a lot of elderly Jews and everything. That is like our main. Right now is like really main pinpoint, right? So where they really need help and everything, especially we are going to COVID crisis, right? So for us, we have like many volunteers. They're like always ready to put themselves out there and help those who need the like supplies, right? Who need everyday food, water, medications and everything, especially elderly people cannot go outside during this time, and we have like many volunteers who are ready to go ahead and supply all of these goods for the like all the elderly Jews and everything. So from our side, we are actually doing like really good right now. We especially we had the Giving Tuesday now campaign recently. So during that time, we actually took the whole national concept, how the essential workers is willing to help the people who really need the goods and everything sitting down at home and everything. And our volunteers were like ready to like just provide whatever we needed.
Amazing. Yeah, I think one thing that COVID has really pushed back to the forefront of everyone's mind is the importance of community, right? Like there are people who are afraid to leave the home and there are other people who can do it a little more safely. So how can we support one another and remember one another? And I think the JDC definitely supports that. Awesome. Cool. Jose Mar, do you want to take us away on this question about COVID and how it's impacted the Azure project?
Yeah, so when I think about the like being a nonprofit, not just Aja, but like being a nonprofit that rely on public funding, from the city, from the state. Well, it's all been cut in half. Most of our funding has been cut in half. So a lot of the things that we were able to provide to our communities that we work with, like fellowships for students who might not have a lot of opportunities because they are in and out of the juvenile court community school systems, we can't provide that anymore. That's straight up like one of the biggest impacts, and having to cut down on our staff. So we've always been visually oriented and design oriented. We've always been like try to be ahead with technology as well. So we already had like a virtual aspect of it, and a lot of our education and a lot of the programming and that we're doing now has to go virtual. Everything, So it's difficult when you're working with youth who are in institutions, and a lot of these youth at home might not have like internet. We don't know what the situation is at home, but but it's not the best. So education has already taken like a weird direction, and we're trying to adjust and meet our participants where they're at. But with funding being cut in half from the city, literally in half, that's been really hard. So that's where we're at, just constantly. That's part of the work.
Definitely. I think the assumption that everyone has a computer or access to Wi-Fi or a safe place to be able to like take classes at home is like a huge thing that we're maybe not supporting as well as we could. So I love that Azure Project is thinking at the forefront of that. Awesome. Cool. And Jose Mar, I'll go ahead and start with you for the next question. Also, I would love to get a sense from all of you. How did you end up working for your nonprofit? What was your journey to get here? Or were you always here just from the beginning?
So I've been working at the Azure Project for almost 10 years now, and I started working there. Initially, I was an intern at first at college, university. I interned there, but I was doing a couple of other things. I wasn't just at Azure. I was going studying a couple of different things. I was doing a lot of audio production and a lot of like photography and different things. I like to dive as a creative. I feel like it's important to be doing multiple things to be inspired. And I had a very corporate job, designer, like a very corporate job. It was for this big business consulting firm, international. And it was great. Like I got paid, very well in the capitalist world. I was winning in capitalism, And I was. And then when I was interning at the Azure Project, I started interning there because I was like really attracted to the photography. And I felt that the photo was so real and so pure. And I just wanted to do something as part of my education. Once I was there and I started like actually seeing the work and reading the stories, because a lot of what we do at the Azure Project is collect stories through images and narrative, and other formats of video as well. And I was just like, I just right away felt something. I was very connected to the stories, to the work, and I could see myself reflected in our participants. I was very young. That was almost 10 years ago. So I was in my early 20s, and to me, I felt a very strong connection. I felt that I needed to learn more, and I felt that this had a space that could maybe help me heal, because as a transborder artist and a person who's lived at the border, I've experienced a lot of crazy things. So seeing that, and then I was just instantly attracted to it, and I figured that this made me happier than my corporate job, even as an intern. And I was like, I'm just gonna dedicate myself full on to this and see where this takes me. And well, now we're here.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, that part of the Azure Project's mission is so cool. Just the power of creation and self-expression can really heal a lot of trauma and past wounds. And I think that they really do an incredible job of capturing that. Awesome. Cool. And then let's go ahead back to Marina at Greater Good. What ended up taking you on this path to saving people, the planet, and pets?
Ooh. Well, I don't see them all by myself, but a lot like Jose Mar, I also started my design career at a corporation where I had to wear dress pants and closed-toed shoes, and kind of sucked. I did get a lot of really good experience with marketing and design there, but I just very quickly realized it wasn't really the environment for me. So after leaving that, at that point, I knew what I didn't want to do. So I started looking more into places that actually helped the world instead of helping raise profits for executives. And I saw a part-time program assistant position available at Greater Good, and I jumped on it because it was exactly the kind of place that I wanted to work at. And now I've been here for 3 years, and I worked my way up from part-time program assistant to now brand and design manager. And what I really love about working here is just being able to be a part of this real positive impact that we have for so many lives. And it just feels a lot better to be able to do something I love, which is design, and to do it for good, to do it for the greater good.
Nice. I saw what you did there. That was smooth. Awesome. Cool. Fran, what about you? You're kind of being a superwoman across multiple organizations. What led you there? How did that happen?
Well, I actually started in nonprofits when out of college, and I like everyone who works in a nonprofit. You do everything from programming to designing their annual reports, things like that. So I was always in that field. I actually went to the dark side in 2003 and worked for a for-profit. And since I was doing that, I really felt like I wanted to get back into my nonprofit, at least volunteering. And so design was often an easy way for me to get back in, because they always need help in that area in marketing. And after the 2016 election, there was a couple organizations that I knew I just had to be involved with, and that was the Women's March and the Women League of Voters. I really wanted to make a large impact in the coming years, and making sure that people understood what it meant to be involved and informed voter. So that's what got me back in.
Amazing. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, like the different triggers in the world that can kind of like remind that voice in the back of your head, like, I think I want to give back a little bit. like whether it's a pandemic or an election, whichever. Awesome. Irvish, what about you at the JDC? What path led you there?
Yeah, sure. So before I started working at JDC, I was working as a freelancer. I was helping like all the local restaurant stores to like build out the like flyers and helping with their websites and everything. And right after my graduation, I was looking for a work and just applied JDC from LinkedIn. And next morning, with my experience and everything, I'm receiving a call, and they tell me about the mission, about what JDC do and everything. They tell me that they're like really small team. They're looking for like someone who can do the design and who can do the like web developing at the same time. So I went to their website and looked at it and everything. I was like, this organizations is not like really like design oriented, so I can go and start working at JDC, and I can drive more design, like drive something more creative concept for the websites and everything. So that's what I wanted to do, like when I started the JDC. That like from development, from design to the development, right? So where I can bring more kind of like creativity stuffs and everything. So I have like that kind of like open ground over there, right? Where I can like bring all my creativity works and everything. And especially this organizations is like really large, right? And there's only small team who is working for like putting out the really good message and everything. And so my first thing was I will learn a lot from this team moving forward in futures and everything. That was like my first impression when I started working at JDC. And after my 1 year, 2 years, 3 years gone, I started loving it working over here at JDC. It's become like a family called environment, right? So where you work, you have to make sure like your environment is like so friendly and everything around you is like all the positive vibes and everything. That's what I always got from here. Like always, if there's anything happens, everyone is ready on the team and everything. That's what I wanted to see, like, you know, having the like a really friendly environment where I work. So I'm still with them and I'm loving it.
I love it. I love the enthusiasm. I mean, it's kind of crazy what being mission driven can do to a group of humans, right? It's pretty infectious. So Irvish, because you're being so positive about the JDC, what do you think are the greatest challenges that face nonprofits today?
Amazing question. That is like, honestly, like literally, we just finished our project on rebranding. We rebrand the whole JDC. Like that was our like biggest challenge, the branding, the message out there. We were like not consistent anywhere. Like outside of the United States, we were using like 35 years old logos and everything, right? So it was like totally our brand was like a whole consistent. It's so hard to handle, right? Having you are like in 68 different countries and everywhere, and you cannot like manage every single offices, right? So for us, we did the whole rebranding. We set up the pillars, levels, and everything. We create the whole new design system. Literally, this we just finished it, the design system. So now we have like every consistency in our system. So we are putting all the work, I will say we separate the teams and everything, and we are sending all the message throughout the whole world, right? All in our community, that we stay consistent with our branding, logos, and everything, with our message and everything. That is the main, I will say, the key that we facing like every time when there is something, like, you know, teams change, people change and everything change and everything. So we have to be like so committed with our branding and everything. So that is the biggest challenge. And I will also say there's like one point I always like to put is the consistency around the all the platform, not only for your message, but about the design too and everything. How you're presenting online, how you're presenting in the print, how you are presenting, displaying advertisement on the streets and everything. So you have to be like consistent everywhere. So that is the another biggest challenge we always face.
Yeah, I can definitely speak to the trauma of trying to do a rebrand just at one company, and then for an organization like the JDC, where you have so many different offices and so many different people and so many different groups, like trying to communicate that brand consistency is probably super easy. Just kidding. It's probably really difficult. Yeah, I definitely hear that. To switch gears a little bit, Fran, you had mentioned that you were in nonprofits and then you took kind of a corporate hiatus and then you came back. What do you think and what do you feel like you've witnessed as the biggest changes during the span of that time?
Well, it's interesting. Part of it's technology. The technology has changed dramatically. I mean, when I started in nonprofits, especially in the design, we were like designing things in Microsoft Word and things like that. And now there's so much more available platforms, just social media, dramatic. Those would probably be the biggest things, I would say. It's
Amazing.
Yeah, you got to remember I started in 94, so here I am in 2020. So I saw a lot of changes.
Holding it down. Love it. Awesome. Cool. And then Jose Mar, what do you feel like when you look to the future? What do you see being the biggest changes in the next 5 to 10 years? You were talking about sort of transitioning from in-person to virtual events. What do you else see kind of on the horizon? Oh, Jose Mar?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of uncertain. What I imagine for the future for nonprofits, specifically for design. I do know the importance of design and communication and getting people to know your message and what you're doing. But the way I've seen design evolve, and not just design but communications, because we know design is about communicating, sending a message. The way I've seen it evolve, it is definitely with technology. I've seen technology, like we're all connected now. We all have design looking at us all day. I mean, we see it all over the world, but now with smartphones, when I started did my design career, it was 2010, I believe, 2009, around that time. And then this is when smartphones were coming out and everything, everybody was like the new technology, right? So I jumped right into programming and web and learning all this stuff. So seeing all that connectivity and how more connected everybody is, and now everybody has a camera. So people are taking photographs. Everybody's getting some kind of training, if you say, of the world, just like trying to capture it in this frame, creating some kind of composition. So I think that design now in the future is going to allow for more of that connectivity, and I want to believe that maybe a user who is a little bit more well-versed visually with design, that they'll understand and see messaging in a different way. That's my hope. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I think that will guide us, and hopefully people will be more inclined into the visual arts because of this, and everything that involves that, no? And I think that's where technology is going. People can get now, they're cool. I had my DSLR that was going on right now. I had to turn it off because I forgot to charge it. But there's there's all these little things that you can do. Like you got your mic, you got all this cool stuff, like people can show different types of personalities through design. But, you have these cool backgrounds right here that make my hand fade out. But I think that we're going in that direction. I hope we're going in that direction. But for nonprofits, like I said earlier, funding is cutting everything off. If we're a small nonprofit, we're not like a giant international, huge one. We are international, but we do a lot of that work as a mid-sized one, small one. So I see other nonprofits being hugely impacted by funding that frankly will disappear before COVID is over.
Yeah, definitely. I think I loved what you said about like everyone, kind of this democratization of photography. Like now everyone is a photographer and everyone is a like set designer and takes pictures of their own food, which is just the strangest thing that humans do. But, it's a new era that's dawned. Awesome. Cool. And then kind of switching gears a little bit, engage like here orgs and other nonprofits in the space. Who do you think is doing a really amazing job and really inspires you in the work that you do at Greater Good?
Oh, you cut out for me. Repeat that question.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Am I back?
Maybe.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, cool.
Good.
I'm gonna repeat the question.
Please.
Are we good?
Yeah.
I would love to. Okay, cool. So I was asking you, this is great if you're stalling for time. That was very smooth. I love it.
Really didn't hear it.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Okay, wait. All right. So I was asking you, when you look out across the field of nonprofits and other orgs, who is really inspiring to you and does really cool work, like work that inspires what you end up doing at Greater Good?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And there's a lot of really great organizations out there that are doing so much in the giving experience. One org that I really admire personally is Save the Children. They've been around for like 100 years, and you can see that their design and their brand has really grown with the times. They're really also good at cross-channel communication. So when you donate to them, you'll get an email, you get a piece of mail in the physical mail, you start getting text alerts, and all of those things are branded with the Save the Children colors and similar design elements. So it's always really evident what you're looking at. It's always clear that you're looking at Save the Children. And I think they do a really good job at branding themselves and again, just adapting to the times. You know, they've implemented a lot more like modern designs in 2020, which I think has been really good for them. And they have a huge name recognition because of that attention to consistency in their designs.
Yeah, I love that. And also kind of touching on what Jose Mar was saying too, like this super like hyper connected world that we're in today where you're getting that text message, you're getting the email, you're seeing it on Instagram and it becomes this part of your visual experience in life. It's pretty
Totally.
cool.
It means a lot to be able to see a message across different channels of communication. It like reinforces in your brain that this organization does this and you'll think of them when, you know, you have a problem that arises.
Totally. Or when you're like, I want to give back and you're like, oh my God, Save the Children,
Exactly.
amazing branding. Or Greater Good, amazing branding. Definitely. Cool. So this is just flying by. I'm like, I could talk to you guys for hours. I just am enjoying this way too much. But we're going to do one more question and then we're going to go ahead and take some questions from our lovely audience to prepare yourselves for improvisation. But for the last question, I would love to hear from all of you, particularly for our beautiful audience. If you had one piece of advice that you would give to a designer who's now maybe contemplating entering the world of nonprofits, what do you think that would be? What would you tell them? Marina, do you want to go ahead and start us off since we're already here with you?
Absolutely. My piece of advice is to put yourself out there in like every sense of that phrase. Apply for the pie in the sky jobs. You know, if you feel like you are at a job where you have more to give, make that known, you know, like always put yourself out there and be willing to help where you can, because that is really key in nonprofits, because a lot of the issues that we have in nonprofits is lack of resources. So if you can be someone that is willing to help and comes up with new ideas and new solutions to things, it'll get you really far.
Amazing. I love it. Cool. Fran, do you want to go ahead and give some life advice for anyone thinking about this path?
Sure. Well, I'm looking at it as people who are interested in volunteering. And I think when you are looking for an organization that you really need to ask questions and build a plan. As a volunteer, you need to go in, especially as a designer, you can't just go in and say, oh, I can design and do this. You need to really work closely with a volunteer organization and remember that they have a staff. They do have people who are smart and know what they're doing, but they don't have the resources all the time. So I think in supporting them as a designer, it's important for you to get involved and fully understand what their needs are and what their plan is. I mean, I love one of the changes that's been happening is that a lot of organizations now have branding, and that branding is so key in everything we're all doing as designers. So if you can get with an organization, you know, ask the right questions, but also commit. If you're going to commit, don't show up and then disappear. Really do your research ahead of time and make your commitment, because nonprofits really do need people. And that's one of our biggest resources that we need. So that's my advice.
I feel like Fran's calling me out. We're at the same nonprofit and she's like, girl, I see you. And I'm
No,
like, oh,
you're doing
Fran.
great. I grabbed you quick.
I'm trying. Awesome. Cool. And then I think, Irvish, we still need to get some life advice from you, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I will say Maureen and friends almost say everything. That I started my career as a, like looking for where I can grow myself and everything. So definitely you have to look for a place where you feel really comfortable with their courses and everything. As friends, like every nonprofit organizations need like volunteer help and everything. They're always a small team that have like really manpower and everything. So wherever you think you're the like really good fit, go for it, and you will have a lot of growing opportunity in any nonprofit. That is from my personal experience. I can see myself since like last 4 years from where I was and where I am right now. With any nonprofit, I will say like you will have a lot of growing opportunity, and you will learn a lot from your seniors and everything for sure.
Yeah, Irvish, I want to echo that. I think your ability to have impact is huge. I think if you're working at a giant corporation or like a Google or a Facebook, you get to work on like an input field maybe for a year. But when you're at a nonprofit, they need you so bad that you can make such a huge impact in such a short period of time. So I think that's a great point. Thank you, Irvish, for bringing that up. And then Jose Mar, when we've talked about this in the past, I thought you had some really, really beautiful advice for anyone considering this as kind of a lifestyle choice. So do you mind kind of sharing your advice for anyone who's thinking about getting involved in designing at a nonprofit?
Yeah, I mean, I always think of a lot of things when it comes to nonprofits. What if you want to work at a nonprofit and you really want to do the work? I think it's important to be passionate for the cause and be real for what's really happening. It's easy to tell when somebody is passionate about something. It's easy to tell when you are passionate about something, your design will be much better. Naturally, your art and your creativity will be much stronger. It'll be visible. It'll be more impactful if you find that mission. No, I do agree with the hustle. You put yourself out there, do as much work as you can. Do volunteer work if you can. A lot of nonprofits need general support. Like a lot of the first things I did as a designer was carry boxes. I would carry boxes and then I would go back and help design the newsletter for next week. There's all of these things that you gotta do. No, it's not just about the design, but that, like you said, that lifestyle, understanding that, and as a creative, I just highly recommend, whether you're a designer but just a creative in general, like always try to do different things. Find things that will inspire you. If you're doing nonprofit work, with a couple of nonprofits. And hang out with people who work at nonprofits. Go to their events. Understand their mission.
I love it. Yeah, it's so funny. This is going to sound really corny, so forgive me as I say a corny thing, but it's one of those things where you can't teach passion. You can teach design, you can teach any of those hard skills, but you can't teach someone how to be passionate about something. So really, like, going with your gut, I think, to your point, Jose Mar, is so, so important, and it'll take you so much farther, right? Because you're actually following something that's driving you on your own. So thank you. All right, awesome. So we're going to go ahead and segue over to our Q&A with our patient and lovely and divine audience. We're going to try to take people off mute so they can share their question and we can see you, because this is a happy hour and we want to hang. So our first question is from Laura Roy. Laura, are you on? Can you unmute and ask your question?
Hi.
Hi. Hello. We
Yeah,
can.
I was just wondering, how to go about finding orgs that need help, either, marketing or design, or, is there any advice on searching, or do I look for the ones that resonate with me and then go and ask? Volunteering in person is kind of hard right now, so I wonder how it's handled.
Great question. Any one of our panelists want to hop on this one?
I'll take that. Well,
Cool,
just
and then
for
we'll go to Jose Mar.
I'll just say locally, if you have a passion, definitely research that organization. And most of them will have a contact us, which allows you to fill out your interest. So for both my organizations, we ask for volunteers and it will say, what are your interests? What are your skills? So I definitely just research. I say go with a passion, definitely. Make sure it's something you want to do.
Jose Mar, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, just look like I mentioned, look for something that you're interested in, a cause that you're interested in, and look for that cause and do a Google search. You'll find a lot of nonprofits doing a lot of work. In San Diego specifically, there is a network of nonprofits. There's South Bay. You got South Bay as well, National City, all of that, City Heights, Barrio, and then you can go up higher to that. But yeah, do a Google search in San Diego. You'll find a lot of nonprofits, and I'm pretty sure that any nonprofit you reach out to, they will get back to you for sure with something.
They'll be stoked.
Yeah.
They'll be like, yes, come help. And to your point, Susan, about kind of it's hard to volunteer right now. It's a little bit of a mix, right? Because it is all like that in-person volunteering work is not really viable, but there's so much work, and design is like so supported in a digital setting that if you are a designer, you are a huge asset remotely. And so really this is your time to shine for a nonprofit. So yeah, I think as per Jose Mar's point, like there are so many nonprofits in your backyard you might not even know about. So just doing a local search. Cool. We have some overachievers who are asking multiple questions, and I love the enthusiasm. Susan Merritt, are you on? Do you mind unmuting and hopping in here?
Hello, everyone.
Hello, welcome.
Okay, I'm trying to show myself here. I'm not
big
sure
reveal.
I can. I'll just talk over my photo. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here. I'm on the San Diego Design Week steering committee, and we are so excited for this event. And thank you so much, all of you, for being here. I was curious whether or not you work through grants or how you get paid was one of the questions, if this is pro bono work, or also I was wondering if there are any nonprofits that you, or categories of nonprofits that you would not work for.
I love it. Spicy, scandalous questions. It's awesome. Who wants to hop in here?
Got one for that. Yeah, I have like a lot of thoughts about that. Yeah, so a lot of, depending on the type of nonprofit, there's a lot of public funding, which is city funding, and there is grants. City funding, state funding, it's grants. There's a lot of private grants, like foundations that give out federal grants. For example, like right now we're working with the Doris Duke Foundation for Islamic Arts, and they put out grants, and even you can apply for them as organizations, and as also as depending on the type of nonprofit you have. And then with that money, you're able to pay your staff to do the work. The city funding is like OSP funding, which actually allows to pay for rent, for internet, that kind of stuff. That some grants don't allow you to pay for. There's private funding, people who donate. People who donate that money you can use for a lot of different things. That's how we do it, at least at the Azure Project. And nonprofits that I would work for, or what I would look for, is for many years the NFL was a nonprofit. I don't know if you do that.
No.
Yeah, so there is it's a different type of nonprofit, but they were. So yeah, there's different tricks there that people use, and those are the type of nonprofits that I would look out for. That they don't tell you they're nonprofit.
Fake nonprofit. What? Wild. Irvish or Marina or Fran, do you have any thoughts on either of these amazing questions from Susan?
Yeah, like Jose Mar, we at greatergood.org, at least the people that are on staff are paid through donations. So we build in the cost of our administrative costs within like our fundraising goals. So we can pay our people a reasonable amount. But there is definitely some other forms of grants that you can get, and corporate sponsorships maybe. But yeah, basically it's just you people helping us out.
Amazing. So good. Fran, Irvish, do you have any thoughts on this too before I go to our next question?
I'll answer. Go ahead.
Now, what I was saying, I have something similar as like Marina and Jose says, nothing different from my side. Probably Fran, if you have something to share.
Sure. Both the nonprofits I volunteer with are completely volunteer run and organized. So we definitely, it's all pro bono work. It's just people who have a passion, who want to help get the message across. And they look for people who have different skill sets who come together, and we create basically, like the other nonprofits, different departments. So we have a marketing team, we have a communications team, we have an administration team. So it's really just finding people who really are passionate about the cause. But it's pro bono.
Yep. It's a whole mix out there for anything that you like. You can find it. It exists. Awesome. Cool. And for our next overachiever, which I can't love this more. We have Roselle Javier, and I would recommend, Roselle, if you want to choose 2 out of your 3 questions, that would be awesome. Are you on? Can you unmute and join us?
Oh.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for sharing your experiences with us. I was just curious, that what do you find is the biggest shift in your role as a designer since the pandemic? And have you found that your job has changed during this time?
Who wants to start? Anyone want to hop in?
Right, I can hop in on that. So that's a really great question. So for me, I've been doing a lot of most like web designing and all of that stuff and everything, right? I was like digital designers from the beginning. For me, when this pandemic happens and everything, I had to like fall into like start helping a little bit on the print side too, and on the social media side. So not from only, I mean, social media marketing, what I meant to say. So not only I used to do like web designing and everything, but after that I had to like start falling into like social media and all the other different platform I can think of. So yeah, that was the like biggest role change for me during this pandemic.
Awesome. Fran or Marina or Jose Mar, do you have something to add there? If not, I know you're all way too polite. You're like, no, you go. No, you first. All right, Marina, what changed?
All right, well, I guess I'll go. Well, like I said, we had to spin up a couple of new programs in order to best use our resources where we could have the most good. So what that meant for me was just hopping into a lot more of the development side of these new programs. So helping come up with like new ideas and new ways to market these new initiatives that we were taking on in order to respond to the great and varied need that COVID brought.
Oh. Someone's very excited.
That's all I got.
I love it. Thank you. Fran, do you want to add something? Jose Mar?
It's very similar for us too. I mean, it's just we got a lot more busy because we had to change the way we promoted and presented our programs. So we needed a lot of design work. I mean, you know, Francesca, you came along during the COVID. So we snagged people like you immediately because we need as much help as possible. And we still need help. There's so much work to be done, and getting that message out is so different than it was before COVID because we need to grab people's attention. We need engagement. And the way to do that is through a lot of our designing.
And there's so much fight for the attention economy right now, right? It's like eyeballs are so valuable and everyone's getting bombarded by this messaging. So how do you get a signal through the noise? Like, instead of buying another pair of shoes, you could actually make a difference. No problem with buying more shoes, so no judgments there. Awesome. Roselle Javier, did you have another question? I know you had 2, so I said you got 2. Do you want to ask the other one?
Oh, I did have 2, but I'll sneak that last one in, which is, did you find that anything like new or innovative designs kind of arise to the surface because of the pandemic? Like something you never did before or even considered?
Plot twist. I love it. Jose Mar, we'll start with you because you didn't get the last one. Did anything happen at Azure Project?
Yeah, Riz actually works at the Azure Project. So she's a
Cheating.
really good artist, by the way, amazing artist. She should have been in this
Awesome.
panel as well. You are in a way. So I will say this because Riz came in, you came in right now during COVID in a different position. So kind of like we looking kind of like when you, Francesca, know, like look for you grabbing people with new ideas and innovative concepts. So as an organization, we always try to innovate. You know, we always try to innovate, but I think this just like pushed us, and we had to like build a team in a different way that had different skills in order to be ahead of the curve, if you will, no? So I think that as a design and kind of what we're doing now and evolving that is video. Video is the best way to communicate, I feel. You can say so much, and it has like all these different forms of art, because it's not just visual design, but it's also audio design. You know, it's all these concept design is involved, like everything is involved in video. And I think as a creative, it's like the next, not necessarily the next step, but I think I've heard this a lot of people, from people who are into film. And I really do believe this, like video has almost every single form of art embedded in one. So I think that that's like where we should go. And I think that's where we've been going. And I know, Riz, you're looking super into video, so I know you know that. So
Awesome.
sending that advice out there, learn video editing and capturing.
Video is the future. You heard it here first from Jose Mar and Roselle.
It's current and it's the future.
It's true. Awesome. Cool. Any other thoughts from our other panelists before we sneak in one or two more questions?
Yeah, I'll say something on that. So with COVID and spinning up a lot of new programs, we had to test a lot of different forms of communication, like as fast as possible. We had to test a lot of different ads and different creative. So what really was like a big thing during this time was creating templates and creating like templatized ads and art that we could just spin up really quickly, spin up a different angle of really quickly. And that has been like really valuable and something that we're going to keep on doing more of, because it allows everyone on the team to be able to, you know, to tell the story of the project that we are trying to fund.
I love that. And it also kind of fosters a kind of air of experimentation, right? Like you're providing like clear guardrails, but then people can play and explore and try different ideas without doing anything like way too crazy, where you're like, who signed up on this?
Yeah, and that experimenting is really key, especially right now, because you don't know what message is going to resonate the best with people if you don't try it. So it's just been really important to try as many different avenues of communication as possible.
Awesome. Totally. Cool. If there's no more thoughts there, I'm going to go ahead and sneak in one more question. It's from our newest member of the design team at Classy. Shout out to Justin Jr. Justin, are you gonna hop on here, or should I read the question for you?
I can hop on. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being a part of the panel today. Very grateful for all of you. My question keeps in mind the current social climate that we're in, apart from COVID, you know. So as creatives in the nonprofit space, often the work that we do is very personal as well as political. How do we make sure that your branding, our assets or marketing materials are still consistent with your mission while still appealing to the broader population that might not be as aware or educated about the issues that you're working on?
Bringing down the house with this last question. Our newest member, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. Cool. Fran, do you want to start us on this one? I feel like you have an answer for it for sure.
Well, the political piece is really difficult for both my organizations. They're technically we're nonpartisan, but there's so much going on in the political environment today that we have to address so many things. So we do our best to present ourselves and design things, and in those designs to present a nonpartisan view that appeals to people. So the messaging is so key. We have to really work with the individuals who are creating the content. So I often will go back to and say, I need the content. I can't design anything until I have the proper content. And I would say, you know, we are very careful about political images. And we are really working in both organizations in that the content is informative, and especially like with the voting, that we are informing and making confident voters without bringing in the negativity, the negative images or political images of political figures and things like that that may turn people away. So it's difficult, I'll admit. It's very difficult, especially with the news and information that we're getting right now in our election.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so many feelings there, but I'm not going to say anything. Awesome. And to Irvish, your organization has been around for so long. So obviously this isn't the first kind of moment of tumult in human history that you've experienced as an organization. So how do you sort of balance that, the messaging, staying on brand while not like polarizing your supporters? How do you do that?
Definitely, this is the hardest, one of the hardest part of the challenge, like being a political, right? So we have like really, I will say our media relation team is like handling all of that like really well. They are helping us to put out there and everything. We have like really good communications between us. Then we just like decide what's supposed to go out there and what's supposed to not go out there. We do a lot of reviews and everything. We do like touch base with like our like directors, and we do a lot of like touch base interior communication with like different departments and everything. And we just have to make sure that whatever message that we put out there is not gonna be, there's nothing like no negative effect on our organization's message and everything.
So key, like getting everyone in the org on the same page, having those QA processes in place. Like, I feel like this is fine. And someone's like, that's a little, you're really taking a stance there. Then maybe we don't want to do. It's good. Always getting another pair of eyes on it. Cool. Jose Mar, what about you at Azure Project? Is this something you feel like you have to balance a lot?
Sort of, in a way. I would say that it's part of, I don't want to say like it's part of our brand, because it's not part of our brand to be political necessarily. We do part of our brand, if you will, is that we're human, you know. We do speak a lot about identity. We do speak a lot about connection, and we let the photographs tell the story themselves, you know. Our brand is that photographs are the images created in the classrooms, and we let the stories be told, you know. A lot of these, and I think that's what's powerful about photography, that you can send a message. Like a person can find a photograph beautiful and be like, wow, this is like a great, beautiful photograph, and I'm attracted to the photograph and enjoy the photograph. And then once they're in and they're seeing the image and they're in with the image and they start reading the narrative and the story behind it, that's when things could get quote unquote political, if you will. If you start seeing the other sides of beyond these stories, start hearing the stories of, like I said, we work a lot with juvenile court community schools. We see these systems and we see how these systems keep failing our youth and our communities. You know, the Azure Project, I take pride in the fact that everybody on staff, we're mostly people of color on the staff, and we reflect the community that we work with. So it's kind of difficult to try to remove that political side. We still use the arts, and it's all about the art and the storytelling and creativity. But the truth is that the story tells the truth itself. We don't have to say it. And we can't cater for others, you know. We're just not like that. Some people are just not gonna feel like agree with some of the things that are being said, but it's like a lot of those opinions are not necessarily just ours. You know, they're a whole community. So we stick to our community, we support our community, we want to upbring our community, and that's the only way to do it. Unfortunately, not everybody agrees with everything. So.
Well, and I think what you said about kind of photography and the arts in general is it kind of reminds us of our humanity. So putting aside our political differences, like people look at a photograph and it's going to have an emotional impact regardless of, you know, whatever affiliation you might have to the world. And so I think that's really like the power of what art can do for us. It's kind of maybe our saving grace in moments like this where we feel so polarized. So I think it's even more important in days like these. Awesome. Cool. And then to round us out, Marina, I feel like people, the planet, pets, like that's pretty much like everyone loves puppies and kittens. Like I feel like that's just a crowd pleaser, but do you feel like you struggle with this at all at Greater Good?
Oh, absolutely. We have to always toe the line between being too political, especially because we run a lot of Facebook ads to get donations, and because we do so many things, we just always have to pay attention to like is this going to be perceived as political by Facebook? Is it going to be flagged and not be able to run because it's political? Because talking about education, talking about climate change, it's considered political. So it's really about like focusing on the good, and putting your message out there, and you know, just always putting that first, so people don't have the opportunity to poo-poo it, to, you know, to go against it and say something, you know, on political terms. So it's really just about being able to connect people in whatever way you can through as positive a message as possible. I think that's key.
Oh, Raina, I love it. The power of positivity. It's like, get your bad vibes out of here. We're just going to try to make it better. Let's just focus on that. I love it. I'm a little over time, but I had to hear from all of you. I thought that was a really, really thoughtful question. So thank you, Justin, for asking. So we're actually going to wrap up here, and I'm sure all of you are dying to know how to follow up with these amazing designers. So we'll go ahead and put together a follow-up email for all of our attendees, so that if you want to get in touch and tell them how amazing they are, you can definitely be sure to do that. And then other than that, we will actually be pulling 2 names from people who ask questions for prizes. So we'll be following up with 2 lucky winners at the end of this. So look out for an email from classy.org. That's us, and we want to give you something cool. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this out with so much gratitude. I can't believe that I got to spend my Friday night doing this instead of binging Netflix. So thank you so much for inspiring me, and hopefully everyone on this call. I even had to get up and get dressed and get out of the house. So amazing. Thank you. It's really setting the tone for my weekend, and I hope that it's given everyone a really positive take on the world and what they can do to make it better. Obviously, a huge thank you to everyone on the team here at Classy who made this happen. JP, Cherry, whose birthday it is today. So if you're in the chat, please wish her a happy birthday. She's on our product design team. Kristen, DJ Justin the Fresh, who will be playing some tunes at the end. So if you want to stay on and turn off your video or leave it on and just want to groove for a little bit, you're more than welcome. I'll definitely be doing that. Video off over here. And then, of course, a huge thank you to San Diego Design Week for having us. And with that, I've been dying to say this all night. So stay classy, San Diego.